Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is me Khushi, and today we're going to be doing the third part of Python tutorial. So let's just get into it. So the first topic is Booleans. As we know that Boolean is a data type for Python, there are two Boolean values, which is true and false. True occurs when the given conditions are satisfied, and false occurs if they are satisfied. Now these can be created by comparing the values, and one of the operator which is used to compare values is the equals operator. Now, here's an example saying print 2 is equal to 3. Now, this is a false because 2 is not equal to 3. Now, there is another situation given below, which is print hello is equal to hello again. I'm sorry. Print hello is equal to hello. Now, what is the condition for this? Is it a true or false? Answer it in the comment section below. Now, this is what the Boolean looks like. But there is one thing which we are going to clear here. Now there are two types of equal to's which I use. So let's just have them first. So the first one is used when we are assigning some value to anything, and this is also called as an assignment operator. Now if you are assigning a value to, let's say, an variable n. Now when you are assigning the value to n, let's say you write down n is equal to, let's say, 3. Now this is what you are doing here is you are assigning the value to n. But in the different case, which is using the double equals operator. The double equals operator, what it does is if you add two equals over here, let's just say to n is equal to 3. Now what happens here is it compares the value of n to 3. So there are two different cases in using the equals operator, and we usually get confused into this. So this is something important. Let's go further. Now, what are the two Boolean values in Python? Is it true or false with the first letter capital? True and falsity? True and false with both the letters in the lowercase. Now, this is true and false with the first letters being caps. Because when a computer is printing something by itself, it gives out it in this form. Now, another comparison operator is the not equals operator. The first one was the equals operator, which was checking if they are equal. But this is a not equals operator. So this is going to do the reverse of what the equal operator was doing. Now it evaluates true if the terms, if the items being compared aren't equal. And if they are equal, then it's going to give out a false. So here we have print 1 is not equal to 1. As we know, 1 is equal to 1, which gives a true in the normal case. But here it's going to give a false. Now if it's going to say print 11 is not equal to 7, then what it's going to do is that it's going to print 2 because the things are not equal, which is satisfying the condition of the not equals operator. So this is how this works. Now let's just go lower. Comparison operators are also called as relational operators. Now what is the output of this code? 7 not equal to 8. As you know, 7 is not equal to 8. So that this says that the condition is satisfied. So the whole condition turns out true in the thing. Now, Python also has operators that determine whether one float or integer is greater than or smaller than the other. These operators are the lesser than and the greater than. Now, so here we have these two values. Now, which is the greater than? Yes, this is the greater than, which compares the first value to the second. And this is a smaller than, which also compares the first value to the second. Now here, the example 1 is print 7 is more than 5. This is true because the value of 7 is more than that of 5. Now here we have print 10 is less than 10 itself. So this is going to be false because this is equal to itself. This is how this works. Now, different numerical types can also be compared. For example, an integer and a float. Now, you can compare 7 is greater than or less than, let's say, 7.0. Now, is this true or false? This is going to be a true or false. Just we're going to answer this very soon. So let's just see the answer. Now here is the same question saying print 7 is greater than 7. This is a false. Now why? Because 7 and 7.0 have the same values altogether. If after a point you just write a 0, then it will have no legit value. So it's going to print out a false. If this would be a 7 equal to 7.0, then what would be the case? Answer it in the comment section. The answer is false. The greater than or the equal to and the smaller than or the equal to. Now this is another different case. Now what is the greater than and the equal to? This is the greater than and the equal to, sorry, or the equal to, and this is the smaller than or the equal to. Now this is going, so let's take the first one, which is greater than or smaller, and sorry, or equal to. Now in this one, what is going to happen? If the first number is greater than or equal to the second number, then this is going to get a true. If not, if it is lesser than, then it's going to have a false. And here are two examples for the same. Now, the greater than and the smaller than operators can also be used to compare strings, which is lexicographically. The alphabetical order of the words on base of the alphabetical order of the component letters. Now, here, this what is lexicographically. Now, let me just tell you this thing. This is what you use in the dictionaries. In the dictionaries, we search for letters like first, like the A, B, C, D. Now, if you have a word saying apple, so first you go for A, and then you have different letter series, which is like first you have in different letters. Now then you see the second letter. Now here it's P. So you go to the section where A and P are going to start. Then if you still don't get it, then you're going to section which again P starts and again L, then again an E. So this is how the whole thing comes out and you get your word. So this is how lexicographically works. Now here Annie is greater than Andy. Yes, Annie is greater than Andy. Because here, if you can see I and E come prior, because you might be saying that I and D have no legit difference, like it's very meager. But if you can see for Y, there is a difference when compared it to E. So this is how it works. So you can also compare strings. Now the first two characters for Annie and Andy are A and A, which is in capital. As they are compared. Now as they are equal, the second ones are compared. Because they are also equal, the third ones are compared. And because the N has a greater alphabetical value, like N comes up later on than compared to D, then Annie is greater than Andy in such a manner. So this is what lexicographically works out like. Now 8.7 is greater than or equal to, I'm sorry, lesser than or equal to 8.73. This is a true because it's equal, right? Now let's just see the next one. So now we're going to the lesson 2 for control structures. So the if statements. The if statements are very, very important for Python or any other language if you're learning. Now, you can use the if statements to run a code if a certain condition holds true. Now, this comes out true when some condition is true. Now, if I say that if apples are red is going to be the expression for this term. And if apples are red, print true. So this is how that works. Now, if apples are red, we know that then it is true. But if I say that if apples are blue, then it's going to return a false because apples aren't blue. Now you don't actually write a sentence in here, but this was just an example. Now Python uses indentation, which is a white spacing at the beginning of the line, to delimit the blocks of code. Now what it makes the work of the programmer or the user or the viewer easier. Because if you see that this is starting a new block of code, you are little aware of that this is a new block of code and it has nothing to do with the prior one. This is how indentation works. Now, what part of the if statement should be indented? The statements within it. The first line, as we have seen, is to the starting itself, but the statements within are given after a space, after a tab, or such things. Now, here's an example of the if statements. So here, if 10 is greater than 5, then it's going to print this. And then it's going to print program ended. Now here people get confused that is it going to print both of them? No. As you can see here is an indentation, which means that this is a whole separate block of code and it has nothing to do with the lower one. So these are two different things and they are not related to each other. Notice the colon at the end of the expression in the if statement. This colon. Spam is equal to 7. If spam is greater than 5, print 5. And if spam is greater than 8, which is not, then it's going to print 8. Now we're going to print 5 because spam is greater than 5 and lesser than 8. To perform more complex checks, if statement can be nested one inside the other. Now, how this works? If the first condition is true, then the second one is executed. If the second is true, then the third is executed. And if all of the three are true, then only the last statements are executed. So this is how it works. Now here, number is 7. Now if number is greater than 3, print 3. If it is lesser than, it's lesser than, right? It's lesser than 5, that's going to print 5. But it is not lesser than 5, right? It is greater than 3 and it is equal to 7. So we are going to print 7. No, it's going to print 3 because only the first one is true, right? So that's how it works. Let's go to the third concept from control structures. Just a second. This is the else statements. Now, the if statements allow you to check a condition and run some statements if the condition is true. The else is the opposite. It runs if the statements, if the conditions are false. Now, as with the if statements, the code inside the block should be indented. It happens with the else as well. So here's an example of the else statements. And notice a colon after the else keyword also, because you have to add a colon, then only it is considered, because that is the format of it. Now, if 1 plus 1 is 2, and if 2 into 2 is 4, then print if not, you are going to print else. Now the first condition here satisfied that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But the second condition doesn't, because 2 into 2 is 4. So you are going to print out else. So we're going to click on else. That's how this works. Now, every if condition block can have only one else statement. In order to make multiple checks, you can chain if and else statements. Now here's an example for the same. Now if else, if else, if else. This is how this works. Indentation determines which if statement has the particular code. Now, fill in the blanks to compare the variables and output the corresponding text. So here we're going to have an if x is greater than y, colon, print if statement. Else, print the else statement. Multiple if and else statements can make the code long and very unreadable. Now the elif is a short form of else if. statements and is a shortcut to use when chaining if and else statements and make the code shorter. So this is how it works. It's the same thing, but the if elif statements can have the final else block, which is called the if, and none of the if or elif expressions are true. So it is elif, the shorter form of else if. Let's go to the next topic from control structures, which is the Boolean logic. Now, the Boolean logic is used to make more complicated conditions for the if statements that rely on more than one condition. So this is to use if you have two conditions to say that something is true. Now, if I have that if apples are red and apples are green, because I'm sorry, or apples are green, then it's going to print true because apples are either red or green. Now, if I have a second statement saying that if, let's say, if watermelons have seeds and and watermelons are green, then it's going to have a true because it has seeds and it is also green in color. This is how this one works. Here are examples. Print 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2. Yes, it's true. Now we have print 1 is equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 3. And it's going to be false because one of the condition is false, which makes the total conditions to be false. 1 is not equal to 1 and 2 is equal to 2. Again, a false. Print that. You can use all those previous ones here. Now, what is the result of the following? It is a true because here, as we can see, 1 is equal to 1 and the sum of 2 plus 2 is greater than 3 because it's 4. As we know that 4 is greater than 3. Let's go to the next one. Boolean OR. The OR operator is used when you want that if one of the conditions are true. Now if I say, as I've already told, if apples are red or apples are green, then it's going to be a true. If you found a new apple, let's say black, then it's going to be false because it can be black as well. So if 1 is equal to 1 or 2 is equal to 2, then it's going to print true. And if we have that print 1 is not equal to 1 or 2 is equal to 2. Now here 2 is equal to 2 is true. Even when 1 is not equal to 1, the statement is false. 1 is true, which makes the whole thing true. Besides value, you can also compare variables. Now, if age is more than 18, and we're going to use an and over here, and then it's going to print. Now, as we can see here, so we're going to use or, let's say or. It's not true. Let's just see it back. You're going to write the or directly. I'm really, really sorry. So we're going to have a print. This is true. Now, unlike the other two operators we've seen far, not only takes one argument and inverts it. Now, the result of not true is false and not false is true. Now, print not 1 is equal to 1. So this is actually a true, right? This 1 is equal to 1 is a true statement, but it's going to print out false because we have already added the not right here. Now you can chain multiple conditional statements in an if statement using the Boolean operators. Now if not true, print 1. Elif not 1 plus 1 is equal to 3, print 2. Else print 3. If not true, if what is not true. Now let's just look to the answer. Here as we can directly see that we're using the not, which means that if not true, print 1. This is not going to happen. Else print 3. This is not going to happen. As we know, the 1 plus 1 is not equal to 3. not equal to 3, then this is going to be true. So we're going to have 2 as the correct option. So we've learned the Boolean logic. Let's go to the next topic. So here is the next topic, which is the multiple operator and conditions. Now, operator precedence is a very important concept in programming. It is an extension of the mathematical ideal of order of operations, which is multiplication being performed before addition, etc., to include other operators such as those in the Boolean logic. Below is shown as the code. False is equal to false or true. It's equal to any one of them, which is it's equal to false, it's going to be true. And there are 3 ways to do the same thing. Now, Python's order of operations is the same as the normal mathematics. Parentheses first, then exponential, and then multiplication, division, and then comes addition and subtraction. Now, 1 plus 1, which is 2, into 3 is equal to 6. This is true. Else, no. You're going to print yes because it is a true condition. Okay, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 into 3 is 6, is equal. Okay, but first we are going to have a multiplication and then addition, right? So 1 into 3 is 3 and 3 plus 1 is 4, which is not equal to 6. So we're going to have a no. Chaining the multiple conditions. You can chain multiple conditions and an if statement using the Boolean operators. For example, we can check if the value of a grade is between 70 and 100. So here it is how it works. Now you can use the and, or, and not operators to chain multiple conditions together. Now x is equal to 4, y is equal to 2. If not, 1 plus 1 is equal to y, or x is equal to 4 and 7 is not equal to 8. This is going to be a true or false. Now let's go for if not, right? It's going to be a false. X is greater than y. So we're going to have a false because here we know that it's given an and one condition is true, whereas one is a false, right? So we're going to have a no here. Let's go to the next topic from control structures. So the next one is list. List. Lists are used to store items. A list is created using square brackets with commas separating them. So the hello world and the exclamation are 3 different things which are the items of the list. Now, the example above, the word list contains 3 string items. The certain item in the list can be accessed by using its index in square brackets. The indexing starts from 0, which is an important topic. So here, what is the index for the exclamation? It's 2 or 3. The random answer would be 3, but it is a 2. But as we've said that the indexing starts from 0, then hello would be 0, world would be 1, and the exclamation would be a 2. This is how it works. So we're going to print the num1. So it is going to be 4. Sometimes you need to create an empty list and populate it later during the program. For example, if you are creating a queue management program, the queue is going to be empty in the beginning and get populated with people data later. The queue management project is already on my channel and you can click the link in the description to go to it. Then empty list is created and a pair of square brackets, and then later on when you get the values you're going to add. In the same code samples, you might see a comma after the last item in the list. It is not mandatory, but it is valid. You can have a comma in the end or not. How many items are there in the list? One, because there's no values later on, right? So typically a list can contain an item of a single data type, single item type, but it is also possible to include several different data types here. So here's how you do it. You can just nest things one into other. Nested lists can be used to represent 2D grids such as matrix. So here's how this is. So this is a nested list altogether. You're nesting two different types of things in here. A matrix-like structure can be used in cases where you need to store data in row column format. For example, when creating a ticketing program, the seat numbers can be stored in a matrix with the corresponding rows and numbers. The code above outputs the third item from the second row. Now, here we're going to complete the list by adding the square bracket, and now we're going to print its third element, which is 67. So we're going to write 2 instead of 3. Now, some types such as strings can be indexed like lists. Indexing strings behaves as though you are indexing a list containing each character in a string. So hello world. Over here, the sixth element is going to be printed, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The O is going to be printed out. Space is also simple, right? So we're going to check out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So W is going to be printed out. Now, here are all the numbers. Now we're going to print num 0. This is the second row column thing. Now we're going to print num 3, 0, which is the third one from the row 0. So this is going to print which line of code will cause an error. It's going to be line 2 maybe. Now here, the thing is there are 3 different things given to us, which is print num 0, print num 3 and 0. Then we have the print fifth element. So here the 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth line is going to print an error because there is no fifth element probably. So we've completed the topic. Now let's just go to the next topic. So there are 1, 2, 3. So we were in list, right? So 1, 2, 3, and 4 topics left out. Two, 3, 4. So guys, the further concepts of the module control structures is going to be covered in my next video. So till the time, watch our other videos and click the link in the description box to watch the queue management project video. Thank you. Bye.